Hello, welcome back to Single Mom on a Farm. Or if you're new here, welcome. I'm Marcy. We are camping today, and I was looking over the questions that I get from y'all, and over again, I get the same one about how to raise respectful children, or how do you get your kids not to fight, or what do you do when they do fight. And I realized I've just never done a video on this because I think I could talk for like 2 or 3 hours. And also, I'm afraid of as soon as I shut off the camera, I'll think of more things that I wish I had said. So I've just been afraid to tackle it. Today's probably like the worst day to tackle it because I don't have a curling iron or makeup or anything. But all the kids were really good just reading and quiet. And I thought of a few things I wanted to say, and I said, I'm just going to do a video. So this is probably going to be like one of the most viewed videos. And here we are not looking very good at all. This is our third day of camping. But I just felt like trying to set it up and just see how it goes. Because I do have quite a lot of thoughts on this subject, and I think it's really fun, and I really do want to help all these families and the grandparents who have children and grandchildren that fight all the time. Because that is just totally not fun. Okay, so my very first thought is that it starts with you. So you really need to be respectful to your children. So I feel like you need to be a student of them right from the beginning, meaning study your children, get to know them really well. Even when they're just like starting to crawl and walk, and see what kind of toys they like, what kind of food they like, and then respect them for those choices instead of saying, you don't want to play with that, or you don't like that, or you're cold, or those kinds of things. As early as you can, then let them decide for themselves and respect those choices, especially when it comes to if they're hungry or if they're cold, because those are some things that parents can kind of push on their kids. You have to wear a coat. It's cold outside. You have to wear it. You're cold, or someone says, I'm not hungry. Well, how can that be? You haven't eaten in a long time. Of course you're hungry. Things like that kind of undermine the child, and you really want them to know themselves. You don't want them to not understand their own hunger cues or their hot or cold senses. You want them to be able to trust themselves. And so if you show that you're trusting them, even if they want to go out in the cold in only a t-shirt, you just say, wow, you're not cold, I'm cold, but if whenever you do, just come back and get your coat, and trust that they will do that. And show them that you trust them instead of saying, well, you've got to be cold or whatever. So those are just my very first tips, is be very respectful of them. I decided to move because the sun was in my eyes. My second tip is to be respectful to everybody else. So if you're driving in the car and the driver cuts you off, don't yell out at them. Even if they can't hear you, your kids can hear you. And even be respectful in your mind, because the words that come out will follow your thoughts. And it just feels so much better to have thoughts that are respectful to others. When you're checking out groceries and the checker checks something wrong, don't yell at them or get frustrated. If you're returning library books and they say you didn't return one and you did, stay respectful to the librarian and thank them for the good job that they do. When you're on the phone, don't yell at the telemarketer or get annoyed with them. Their kids hear this, they sense it, and that's just where it starts, is being respectful to everybody else, and that in turn will be respectful to your children. And all this just comes together so that your kids will also be more respectful as they grow up. Another tip is to validate your kids. And I'm just thinking of all kinds of tips and just saying whatever comes to mind. But I read this story one time when I just had little kids, and it really made a big impact on me and how I treated my kids from then on. So there was a story about this dad who took his daughter to the ice cream store and said, pick out any kind you want. And so she goes up to the window and she's like, I want that kind and that kind and that kind. Ooh, and I want that one and I want that one. And he thought at that moment he had two choices to make that could like significantly affect his relationship with her. He could just say, wow, you greedy brat. I said you can have any kind you want, one scoop of anything, and here you want the whole store. Just forget it. You're too greedy. Or he could just say, wow, don't they all look delicious? Don't we wish we could taste all of them? That'd be so much fun, but today we're just going to get one scoop. Which one flavor would you like today? And so he chose that option. And from then on, he just started treating his children better like that. Just acknowledging their desires, their wishes, even though the daughter wasn't really wanting all of that. And it wasn't a time to teach her, do you think you can eat 16 scoops of ice cream? You can't. It wasn't a teaching moment at all. It was just a moment which actually could have turned into a teaching moment as she realized, this is what my dad is teaching me, to that my feelings are affirmed, that they all look really good. And that's all she was trying to say, was that they all look really good. Anyway, so I try to model that when my children are asking for something, when they want to do something, or asking for presents or food, or anything extravagant like that, I would just say, wouldn't that be super fun? And I can kind of go along with it. Like one time Spencer wanted to drive across the United States and back. And so every night he was like, let's plan our trip. And I kind of thought, like, we're never going to do that. Why would we plan something like this? But instead, it's like, wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be so fun to drive across the United States and back and just stop at different places? And so it became our little game. So every night we got a little bit further. We were living in North Carolina. So we'd say, okay, now we're in Georgia. What are we going to see? And then the next day, like, okay, we're in Mississippi. What are we going to see? And the next day is, we made it to Texas. What are we going to see and do and everything? We talked about the Alamo and kinds of things like that. And it was just our little game, and I didn't have the heart to say we would never do it or anything. I just kind of went along with it. Like, what if we did? What if this was our possibility and someday? And then we actually did. Like, only a couple months later, we had this fantastic opportunity to take 2 months and drive across the United States and back. And it was just so much fun. I'm so glad that I validated his desire to do that, and it actually came true. So anyway, that's a little bit off of a topic, but I was so glad that I'm validating like my kids and their thoughts, even if we're not going to do it right now. I just feel like should never say never, or we're not going to do that or anything like that. We can dream. It's perfectly fine to dream, because a lot of times things fall in your lap. They wish that they could go to a football game, and then all of a sudden somebody offers you free tickets or something. So you never know. Okay, let me look at a few of my other thoughts. I just want to reiterate again to be a student of your child. So study them, watch them, see what they're doing before you just jump to conclusions and yell at them or stop them from what they're doing. So if you see them grabbing laundry and kind of wrinkling it up and setting it somewhere, instead of saying, hey, you're messing up my clothes, just notice that they're trying to learn to fold clothes. They're actually trying to be helpful, balling it up or rolling it or whatever, and they don't know how to fold clothes. And so that's a great teaching moment to stop and show them how. Maybe they are getting out some fancy dishes and you're like, hey, we don't use those. What are you doing? You're going to break something. Instead, ask them what they're doing. And maybe they wanted to have a special little time. They say, hey, I thought we could have a tea party right now, or I just wanted to put out your nice dishes so we could have a nice day. And then let them. You don't have to save everything for a special occasion. Just let them. Another way I show respect to my kids is to ask them before I borrow their stuff. Even if I gave them the scissors as a present and I feel like, well, I bought them, I shouldn't have to ask. But you do. You gave them to them. So I say, hey, can I borrow your scissors, please? I say, thank you so much. They really came in handy. I thank them for anything that they're doing. Being grateful for them is like a huge in showing respect. So when someone gets a splinter, I'll say, hey, Caitlin, do you have a needle I could borrow? And she'll like, sure. And she'll get it out, and I'll get the splinter out of Andy's hand and give it back to her. And then I'll compliment her and be like, thanks, Caitlin. You always have all the right stuff that we need whenever we need it. I can always count on you. So that she feels good about herself and her contribution to the family. When I'm tucking kids in, instead of just running in and shutting off the lights and saying, it's way past your bedtime, go to sleep, put your book away, then I notice that maybe they're almost done with their chapter. And I say, would you like a little bit more time to finish your book? Are you at a really good spot? Just ask them about the book and not turn the light off on them. I say, hey, I'll come back in 5 minutes to turn the light off. Or do you mind when you're done to go ahead and turn off your own light and tuck yourself in? And then I try to keep the house quiet while kids are falling asleep. Even something that simple, it shows a lot of respect to kids. If you are always studying your children, then you will notice their needs coming at different times, and you'll be constantly rotating who needs what. So for example, if a chicken just died, then I know that Caitlin needs extra time to grieve and to take care of that. So I might say, hey, Anderson, will you cook dinner tonight with me? It's Caitlin's turn, but she's really sad about the chicken. And I'll explain her feelings to him so he understands. It fosters a connection between the two of them. It's so great for siblings to serve one another. So their love is stronger because of that. It helps, Andy to learn compassion for Caitlin, and he's happy to make dinner for her and for her night. And it brings a big smile on her face. And then when the situation changes, he knows that somebody will help him out. So maybe another night when it's his turn, I'll say, hey, Caitlin, do you mind helping me make dinner for Anderson? He's out in the woods. I know he was like crying a lot this morning. He really just needs that outside time. It looks like he's having so much fun. I don't want to interrupt him. And she'll be like, sure, because she knows that anybody will cover for her at any time. So I'm constantly rotating needs like that. And also who needs like extra time with me. So it looks like you're having a rough time. Do you want to go for a walk with me? Or would you like to do Play-Doh with me or paint a picture? I might just grab a child here or there because I'm noticing their needs. I'm studying them. They feel very respected and they feel very heard, that they can tell me anything at any time. Sometimes I'll let them skip a chore. I'll just say, hey, you look like you're sick, or you're too busy, or you're stressed out about something. Maybe you have a big part coming up in the play. You need extra time to study your lines. So I'll say, hey, you go study your lines while we go out to the garden. And the kids feel so special when they get to skip a tour like that. And they feel very respected, that they were understood, that they are having a hard time right now. And a lot of times they'll say, no, it's okay, I got it. But it's just nice for me to offer things like that. And I rotate it between all of them, so it's not always just one kid getting a special privilege or something like that. To teach children to respect each other, there needs to be a little bit of prompting, but mostly they will have gotten it from you. Just by you showing them so much respect and respect for everybody else in the community, they will learn it and it will just be like second nature. But when I'm trying to help them, especially at younger ages, then I can just point out little things, especially if they've missed them. So say Tilly takes Andy's seat, then I might say, hey Tilly, I think Andy was sitting there. She's like, oh, he wasn't. I'll say, well, why don't you look him in the eye and ask him? And I'll coach her to do that. And so she'll have to look him in the eye and say, Andy, were you sitting here? And he might say, yeah. And she might say, and I'll say, okay, explain why you want to sit there. And she'll say, well, is it okay if I sit here? Because I was going to share this cheese sandwich with Caitlin. And he's supposed to say, sure. And sometimes, the other child doesn't. He's like, no, I was sitting there. And I'll say, well, let's negotiate a little bit, or find a spot where two can sit together because they're sharing. And what would you feel like if you were going to be sharing? You'd want someone to give up their seat for you. So things like that. If someone grabs another child's toy, then I will coach them and say, I think you took someone's toy, so why don't you ask them if they're done with it? So then Tilly would have to say, Andy, are you done with this Play-Doh toy? Can I use it now? And he will just say, no, I'm not quite done. He needs to respond in a nice voice and show respect back. Instead of saying, yeah, no, I wasn't done. You stole it from me. I try to keep everybody to stay calm about stuff. That there's nothing that needs to be screamed about or upset about, because it's all just stuff, just toys and seats where we're going to sit and things like that. So they can all just stay calm, and he can say, no, I will be done in a few minutes, or yes, I was, go ahead, it's your turn. That helps them learn to really respect and love each other. Kids act like whoever they're around. So if they're with peers all day long, kids that are the same age as them, they're probably going to act like them. So they're probably not going to be learning to be respectful, because it usually comes from people who are older than them. So I do suggest homeschooling or being with your children as much as possible. And then again, modeling that behavior so that they know what it looks like, and encouraging it between siblings, and being with them so much of the day, because then you can notice the second that they steal a toy from somebody, or a seat, or the last cookie or whatever. And you can say, hey, did you ask the kids who are outside if they got a cookie? And they'll be like, no, maybe they'll just stuff it in their mouth real fast. And you can just take them aside and teach them. The kids outside probably wanted one too. And, maybe next time you can share, or say, can you go find something else in the pantry, a snack that they might enjoy? And that encourages them to think about the kids who are outside, what they like, and how they can fix them a snack also. A few other things our family has always done to encourage love between each other are secret pals. We draw names, and so you'll get a sibling, and then you have to do a secret pal for them throughout the week. And usually it's almost always a note and candy on the pillow. For some reason, that is just the most fun thing, is to go leave like a little Hershey kiss with a note saying, have a great day. And I will actually write down the notes ahead of time. Have a great day. You are loved. You're the best, in my handwriting, so that the siblings don't know who wrote the notes, that they're all the same. And they just have a stack of them. And then the kids can grab one at any time, and a candy, like in a candy jar. And they have to go secretly put it on the sibling's bed. And so when the sibling comes in, you feel really loved. And that's been really helpful for us, because you're serving everybody else. Each week you pick out different names, so you have to serve a different sibling for that week. I try to encourage more things than just the notes and the candy, but that is just my kids' favorite. And so I try to praise other service things that they've thought of. At the end of the week, then we'll all say who our secret pal was, or who we did things with, and then we'll tell what also other things we did, like I made your bed one time, or I was the one who put toothpaste on your toothbrush, or I saw your shoes under the couch and I put them by the door so that you would find them and know where they were when you're about to go somewhere, or I set out your cup with your favorite cup at dinner time. Just little secret things like that, and really encourages children to look to their siblings, think about other people besides themselves. And then they're also super excited to see who is serving them. It's just really fun tradition that we'll do occasionally. We used to just do it almost like every week, because we were just like, the kids can get addicted to it. We haven't done it in several years, so I need to redo it because these younger kids haven't done it lately. But that's a really fun one. My kids love to do buddy dates. Usually, it's like the Thomas takes Tilly on a date, and Madeline takes McKenna. But sometimes I'll encourage, like Madeline to take Caitlin. I'll just be like, she just needs some extra time with an older sibling right now. Do you mind taking her somewhere? Or just doing like a scavenger hunt in the yard, or reading to her, or jumping on the trampoline with a sibling, to give them a little bit extra attention. I love doing mommy days also. Sometimes I just kind of do them around their birthdays or their half birthday. But every once in a while, I will just take a child that I feel like needs a little bit of extra attention. Say I got a dentist appointment. I think a little while back I had a dentist appointment. I think it was snowing, so I guess it was a while ago. And I just thought Tilly needed to come along with me. So I said, come with me to my dentist appointment. It's like an hour and a half away. And then I took her for a little hike afterward. But I was able to talk to her in the car. We ate little snacks together. I don't even have to spend money, like take her out to eat or anything. But we brought some snacks and we went on a little hike when it was snowing. And then, had the long drive back to talk. Or I said, you can pick out your favorite music to listen to. You could read to me a favorite chapter out of your book. Anything that you think that the child is excited to do with you. Other times when we just have perfect weather, I'll be like, I gotta go hiking. Who wants to go with me? And there might be 2 or 3 kids that want to go, or maybe 4 or 5. And I can ask everybody, do y'all want to do like this big group one, or do you want me to just do a couple of kids? And I respect their answers. And then I just go with my heart. I really believe Heavenly Father is telling me the needs of my children and what to do in each circumstance. So I might say, I really feel like I should just take 2 kids right now. They really need some extra attention. And then I'll kind of reward the other kids that stay home with something fun. Like, y'all can stay home and have watch a movie. I'll make some cookies ahead of time so you can have those. And, then they're excited about staying home also. But most of the time, they just automatically choose. They're just always like a few kids that want to stay home and a few kids who want to go. I even do this with longer trips. One time, Nathan went down to Florida to see like his sister's graduation. And it was like, I think you should take a couple of kids with you. And there were only 2 kids that wanted to go. And my siblings were like asking, how do you choose? Wouldn't all of the kids want to go? Because they got to ride the train. And I was like, there just was 2 kids that wanted to go. And I felt like that fit our budget. And that was perfect. I got 3 kids at home with me. And so we had a great time. We did like an ice cream party one night, and we planted our garden one night. I remember doing that. I think I took them to the strawberry patch one time to pick strawberries. And then we came home and had like fondue. We did like a puzzle night or a game night. So it all worked out great. The kids who got to go and the kids who got to stay home, they know that whatever they choose, it's going to be a great decision, and they're going to be loved and cherished, I guess, is a great word to describe it. That was in 2009. And ever since then, we've tried to keep it up. Not intentionally planning a trip just to take certain kids, but if one comes up, then we keep it in mind that might be a good opportunity to just take a few of the children. In 2010, my brother got married, and so I took 3 kids to that. People ask me, how do you know which kids to choose? Or what do the other kids think? Are they feeling left out, or if they don't get to go? And I just know in my heart who to take. I mean, I know my kids so well that I know who will really appreciate this trip, who's just needs it, I guess, and who's going to be, easy enough to take on the trip, or who would be too hard to leave behind. Like when my grandma died, I only took the 1-year-old because I knew it was too hard to leave him. And I thought it'd be awesome just to only have him on the trip too. So you will know, don't worry. God knows each of your kids, and he will tell you which ones that you should take. And about the kids that stayed home, they usually just didn't want to go. And they know that their needs are always respected and their wishes are always respected. So I just feel like it's always worked out super easily. There's just a lot of kids that just don't feel like going, and it just works out great. I think that especially works great for kids who are fighting. So I might take the 2 that are fighting with me on a mommy date so that they both get that love and attention that they are looking for. And then they also have fun playing together because, I'm not always the most fun person to play with, and they're in the back seat together, and, they have nobody else, like their normal people that they normally sit by or hang out with. And so they just have a lot of fun. So I really suggest if you have a large family and there are 2 that fight, like take both of them somewhere special, whether it's just a little hike or a little picnic or a trip to the park or something like that. And that really helps them start to build that relationship together. Another tip is to have those 2 do a chore together. So sometimes I will send 2 kids who don't always play together up to Blueberry Hill to pick blueberries. And then when they come back, I can just really praise them. Wow, you both worked together so well. Look how many blueberries you picked, or whatever, clean the chicken coop. Any of those kinds of chores helps them learn to work together and then accomplish something and have those great feel-good feelings from getting a job done, from having mom super proud of them. And then they are able to figure it out together by all that good communication skills. I think that's going to be all for this video. It got louder than I thought. That just keeps cars going by, so it's going to be really choppy when I go to edit it, to edit out all that car noise. I kind of thought this was a quiet campground, but it must be, it's Friday night, so maybe people are coming in to camp here tonight. Anyway, I'm going to go ask my kids what their thoughts are about if they fight, or who they fight with, or why they fight, or what to do if they do fight. And then if you still have any questions that I didn't get answered, anything that I just wasn't very clear about, feel free to keep asking me, and I'll do another one on the same subject because I really love it. I think it's something that every family should strive for, is just having respectful kids to each other, to the parents, to adults outside of the home. It's such a valuable skill, and it'll make the world such a better place if everyone is just respectful of each other. And then they'll get along great too. And I want your family to be happy and have a great time together and build those fantastic memories. My throat's getting dry, so I'm going to be done. Thanks as always for watching, and now I'm going to go find the kids. I will start with Caitlin and McKenna. They're sitting right here, crocheting, reading. So what do y'all think about fighting? Why don't you fight? Or what do I do when you do fight? Or something like that.
Usually we don't fight just because there's not a reason to fight, and if I want to start a fight or something, then I'm just like, might as well not fight, I guess. And I don't know, I just don't want to fight with. McKenna would probably be the main person I'd fight with if I did, but usually we don't. And if we do, then we fight because we're too nice to each other. And I'm like, you can have the last one.
No, you have it.
No, you have it. I said it first.
Oh, you're too kind. You're kinder than me.
No, you're kinder than me. That's like the only time we fight, but and I just don't want to be known as like a fighting kid. Like as I'm growing up, then I'm like, getting mad at somebody. Oh no, I don't want to be known like that I always fought with my siblings. And
it's a good reason, huh? To keep a good reputation. What do you want to be known as?
A good kid.
A good kid? Like anything in particular?
No.
The one that does all the lawn work?
Sure.
Peacemaker, helper. Okay, McKenna?
Mostly the same reason. Like, why fight? Like, you might as well not. No. And, yeah, I just don't want to be known as the person who always fights or argues or starts fights or something.
Yeah. You seem to have a good heart. Like, you just always give people what they want. Even, I don't know. So I don't know if that's because, like, do you consciously think, like, I want to be like Christ, or this is the right thing to do? Or do you do it because you don't want to make me mad, or...
I don't know.
Or maybe you're just naturally... Because some kids can just naturally share, and they really don't care about sharing all their stuff, and other kids have to, like, have you trained yourself to say, this is what Jesus wants me to do?
I don't know.
I don't know. Well, that's good. Yeah, you both are very just peacemakers and give to everybody else. All right, Anderson, what do you think about fighting? Do you like to fight?
No,
No? Why not?
because the scriptures say not to, and yeah, it just doesn't seem like a thing that you should be doing. And like, especially fighting with my brothers and sisters, don't fight because like I'm gonna live with them for a long time and stuff, so I'm gonna have to learn to get along with them.
Oh, that's perfect. That's something that I don't fight with my siblings about. So that's just something I thought about. Is that I either have to live with them for a long time, or now that we don't live with each other, I still want to have a great relationship with them. Yeah. I want them to still love me and love my kids and be on good terms.
And like with Sam, he likes lots of the same things. Like, it's pretty easy for me to share, because he'll give it back when I ask. And also, sometimes, lots of the time, he's better at something with me, so I want him to be able to use one of my things, and I like watching him and stuff.
Oh, cool. I like those. Those are good reasons. What happens when you do fight?
Normally, mommy comes and makes me do a chore.
Yeah, sometimes I do give extra chores. One time at my family science class in college, she said the teacher that she makes each child clean each side of a window, like the porch window, and they both had to clean each side, so like they're like spraying each other, like spray me. So like spraying each other and wiping the windows. Or they had to sing their fight to each other. You hit me. I don't know. I'd never really implemented either of those very often, but I thought of them. I think about them.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they're fighting and they can't get along, then I can say, you need to work.
Yeah, one time at play practice, he was like, "Are you guys brother and sister?" We're like, "Yeah," and he was like, "Do you guys like each other?" I was like, "We're like, yeah." Like, how do you like your brothers and sisters? Just learn to like.
Aww. I'm glad you're a good example to them. You can teach them how you like them, huh? And even if you don't have words to say, they'll be watching you. Obviously, they already are. They can tell y'all get along, and then they'll start wanting to have their siblings as their best friends. Because you go everywhere with them, and pretty much. So it's fun to have a built-in best friend. Hang out with all the time. I'm looking for Samuel. He is back here in the woods, sitting in a hammock, reading. Hey, Samuel. I've asked the other kids about fighting. Fans want to know if y'all fight and why not, and what do I do about it if you do fight?
I don't really like to fight because I don't feel like there's a reason to. And I don't really know why we would, and I feel like we all have the same opinions.
Good, so we all agree on most things.
Yeah.
It is nice that in families you can agree about a lot of things. We all like pretty much the same foods and activities, but there's got to be some differences. Some kids are like so opposite that they can find a lot of reasons to fight. But that's a good thought for you. I think you're just a good peacemaker anyway. I think all you kids, even if you're different, you just, I don't know, see the value in differences and respect them. And maybe sometimes you get your way and that sometimes the other kid gets their way. But maybe you're right. Maybe you don't really have anything to fight about. You and Andy just seem to get along well. Like you just kind of in the same mood all the time.
Mostly.
Like let's either play football or let's play cars. Do you have anything else to add?
No.
No? Do you have any tips for other viewers with kids that fight?
I don't know.
What should they do if the kids fight?
I'm not sure.
That's okay.
Find them make up a game.
Have them make up a game?
Yeah.
Sure. Alrighty, thanks. You can go back to your book.